think I'm live. And let's see if I can figure out how to get the link for this. Embedding, yep, live chat, okay. Where's the link? Okay, there's people on. If there's someone on, please do say hello. I'm just trying to find the link for it. Hold on. Can I pop out the chat? Oh, yes, I can. I'm going to pop up chat and stick it onto the feedback monitor where I can see my own face. And I'm open for questions. Let's copy that link. Right, and tweet. Oh, hello, little French robot. Is that little French Kev? Who am I talking to there? Is that the maker of this, as in the designer of this gadget that I've attached to my robot? So there we go, and does it tell me what the latency is? Warning, current resolution is not optimal. I'll have to figure that out. Oh, it is! Brilliant! Awesome! Doesn't tell me what the latency is on this. Stream rate. Okay, let me see. I'm going to try and make sure my network doesn't glitch out. Do I get to... Well, video bit rate is quite high. Let's see if I can reduce the bit rate. Okay, you'll have to tell me if this is horrid, but I'm getting health warnings from YouTube about the stream, so this might help. It's been a while since I've done a bit of a live stream, and as you can see, the outside light is right on me. I have a little blind in place, but it's not quite enough. It's at least movable, so when the sun moves I can kind of not get completely gone by it. So, morning Leo, good to see you too. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is wire this thing up. And I'm going to wire up kind of almost similar, or starting where I guess the little French robot, little French Kev, did with his diagrams for this, or his video for this. So I should have some 6-way or more connectors. The last servo, the tilt servo, is in the bottom there. Hey Leo. Tell you what I'm going to say in the chat. I think there is quite a lag here. So I think I'm getting your chat messages, and I don't know how many minutes before you get my stream, but I've reduced the stream rate. So with any luck, that will reduce the lag time. But I guess actually, now you've started playing, if you're n seconds behind, you're probably going to stay n seconds behind. You know. Right. So I guess what I was going to do first was crimp the rig to do the power signal, power ground and signal to these 3 servos. The only thing is I might leave the pan servo not connected to that rig that these two are. So then if I detach the pivot here for the Nerf gun, text arrived 30 seconds before you typed it. Okay. Yeah, so the idea is I can then take that off, and I would then be able to say fit the thing that will do the barrels grabbing to the same spot. Yes, this is way too late for were we doing pie walls next week. I'd have spent the last 2 weeks panicking to get everything in. As it was, I guess I kind of did something else. Yes, strange week, very strange week. So yeah, so because that servo's intending to be removed, it might be that what I want to do, instead of sticking the multi-way adapter up here, or sort of back here, I think this is where Kev's original design was, I'd maybe stick it to this nice flat panel behind here. The other two things I want to get onto this panel behind there is a battery just for the servos and the motor up here, along with a boost converter for it as well. So I've got a little DC-DC converter. I suspect the FET for driving the rollers can still be in the same place up here. So there will be soldering to go and just stick some, I'm probably just going to stick some JSTs on one side of it, and I don't really know what I'm going to do with the other, probably just crimp them. Now, my crimping is atrocious. It's nowhere near as neat as the demos I saw from Kev there. They were rather amazing. But let me see. So I have the engineer tool behind me. This one. And if we're talking power, so my lab is probably needing a bit of a tidy. I'm probably not the only one, but I've got, actually that's stranded. I might find it easier to do it with this one, which is the solid core wire instead. So let me see. So I'm going to want, let's just sort out, so I've got all the colours actually. Quite quiet in chat. I guess there aren't that many people in yet. Apparently there are 5 viewers in. I don't know if that means one of them is just my own view monitoring. And I'm expecting at some point Helena's going to want to join. She did make that clear. I'm quite pleased. She made her own video last night. She borrowed my lights and my microphone. She didn't borrow the camera. And she made a video about one of those 72-in-1 electronics experiment kits. Which was one of the one that I bought from Maplin back when there was Maplin. And her and Jonathan spent a bit of time the other day playing with it and making a video about what they'd discovered. And among other things, she discovered a way to make it not work, because she made a circuit where the switch, when she said, when I turn it on, the motor stops, and it turned out that when she turned it on, it was quite good, I suppose, quite a good learning moment. She was shorting the battery, which stopped the motor, because obviously it was an easier path. So I think, you know, definitely she learned from that, and I think she's made quite a lovely video. Right, there we go. So we've got the single core wire. I guess the thing about single core wire is probably it's a bit easier to strip and to kind of move into place. I guess the stranded core, I don't know if it's got a better current carrying capacity. Are they different? 24, 22, and I think I've got some even thicker. Yeah, RIP Maplins, I know. They were handy. I mean, they weren't always the cheapest option. They didn't always have everything you might want, you know, but, and I suspect probably Amazon did the job eventually, but still, I don't know. There's part of me that says if they'd have kind of gone more, we're experts and can really help, then hey, would you like to buy more batteries? No, would you? Then maybe that would have been a more reason for a community to go out there. I don't know. Right, I got some 20 stranded as well. I think the 20 stranded is going to be too thick for the connectors we're going to use, which is a DuPont type. So the 20 is definitely out. So I'm going to try. I mean, these feel like they're solid core as well, so I'm going to stick with the solid core. Now, next question is where all the JSTs are. Not JSTs, DuPonts. There we are. Got a load there. Yeah, exactly. The I need it now factor is so handy. Right, now I have 9 of those, but I think I'm going to need to leave 2 for power in. So I want something that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, where's 8? So I've got 7s and 9s. Let me think about this. Well, I'm going to want a shared ground. Maybe I should draw before I just start crimping. So let me just have a quick. Didn't stick a notepad near, did I? This one will do. Because if I just start crimping, not like the crimps are expensive, but still. Oh goodness. Hey, there we are. Right, do I have enough light on that? Sometimes next day it's not soon enough. Yeah, exactly, that was the thing, isn't it? That moment where you're in the middle of making something, you go, oh no, I need that one thing, that or I just can't find any more resistors of that value. Have you had that? So yes, I have stock of plenty of resistors, and there are the values I nearly never use. For example, 680, I don't know, I never used it. And there's values I use all the time, like the 1K value, or close enough to. Now I might be able to get away with using a 680 where I'd use, 1K maybe, depending on the design. But anyway, I run out of them and I'm going, oh god, I need them now because it stops me doing stuff. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, right, so what have we got? We've got the 3 servos. We've got probably the power input. So 3 servos gives me what? That's 9. Power input is another 2. So maybe that one being 9, 10. That one's not even enough. Planning advanced, you cheat. Oh, look, I mean, I'm planning on the fly here in the video, so. Close-ish. What was I? I want power input. I want some kind of shared ground. Now I could also do another trick that I saw from. So that shared ground is going to go, think to the Pi, because ultimately I'm still using the Pi to drive the signal to the servos, and going to use the Pi to drive the signal to the FET, but the Pi isn't going to be in the rest of the circuit around the power, other than sharing the ground. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do here. I think that will be okay. I don't think I'm going to blow up the Pi doing it, but I have spares if I do, but I think it's fine. Now, one of the things I said I think I saw Kev, aka Little French Robot here, do is I think I saw him put 2 wires into 1 crimp for things that were the same, like grounds, I suppose. So it may be that I don't need that many connections. But I think what would be nice to do, and I don't know if I'm going to check. I've got a couple of. I have got a couple more of these DuPont connector kits, so I might have different sizes, but something along the lines of. So okay, let's say we have first 3, which is servo 1, next 3 servo 2, next 3 servo 3, and then if I said those 2 were power in, then I could then say from the back end that would be ground to the, I don't know if you can read any of this. Oh, what, putting 2 into the same is a massive pain. Okay, that's some interesting advice. Because I saw you doing a kind of a daisy chain thing, which I was thinking of doing, which would be the thing where you did what was it? Like this. Oh no, not like that. That's right. It was from there to there to there. 2 wire and 1 connector thing. Right, got you. So when I saw this thing you'd done with a little kind of daisy chain, you really can't see that. I'm going to get a different light on there. That light isn't charged. Oh, okay, hold on. Multi-wire crimps unreliable. Well, I used to do, back in one of my original robot designs, I did a 4-wheel drive where better to splice heat shrink if the current is okay. So you kind of do a solder splice of, say, like a Y joint, and then heat shrink that, and then go for the crimp after that, perhaps. So just going to go out of shot just to get a different light that I think is charged. Try. Okay, hold on. You'd go with that. Okay, now that's interesting. Just trying to get this light. That was me thinking I had too much light. Oh. I've got too much light on me, but still not quite enough to see what's going on there. Let's try. So I guess you'd still go with roughly the same diagram of connections, but it would be a splice like that, where you have I guess what you could do, so you could either say have 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure my soldering's up to this, but I can try it. Daisy chaining is easy with IDC ribbon headers. Yeah, okay. The other way I could do this, I suppose, because I could go in with... Hold on. There, you couldn't actually see what I was drawing, could you? So I could either go in with 3 wires and try to somehow solder those 2 together, and then solder this one on, and then get the heat shrink around there. I wonder if I could do something where I took 1 wire, notched out the insulation, and then wrapped the other one around it, and then soldered that. Don't know. Alright, fair enough. I guess I still want to think what I'm going to do first. So this one from the power does not go to the ground to pi here. So I guess we're going to have, there's power, let's put dots in to show we're doing stuff, and then this would go to some GPIO, and that one to some GPIO, and that one to some GPIO. So that's roughly the plan. Try for the Y joint first. Now, what have I got? I've got 3, 6, 9, 11. What I've actually got is 10 here, I think. 3, 6, 9, 10. I wonder if I've got any 11s in one of my other kits. Because if there isn't 11, then maybe I can find another way to split it. No, it's not that kit. So I can't even get into that anymore and close it. Okay, doesn't matter. Come back to that later. This is the largest one. That's 7. Yeah, okay, so I don't have one with 11, so 11's not going to work. Alright. And I've buried the other kit under the light. That's fantastic. So no 9s, no 11s. Could just do a 5 and a 6 if I've got that. Just due to the fact that they're going to be slightly janky across the middle. Well, actually, I could easily go with 5 there and 6 there. That'll probably be fine, right? It won't be quite as tidy, but I think that'll work. Okay. And those are going to be, well, they're going to be male, aren't they? So where are my male? So I'm not going to go crimp straight away, because I think, based on the suggestions of doing the Y joint, I'm going to go solder first. And actually there's a bunch of soldering to be done in the lab, so let's figure that out. Oh. I guess I'm going to need to experiment with this Y joint before trying anything else. So try a few that will work. So I'm only going to go for some. So these are these short things. This might even be too long. Let's try one just for the power. Well, I definitely know I'm going to need Y joints. So that might do it. We'll go for a longer one going in. Suspect I'm not in too much of a danger of running out of wire, because I've got plenty there, so that's all fine. Okay. Can't actually get a grip on that. With some pliers. Here's when you all find out just how club-footed I am when it comes to actually doing these things. Grand plans, but oops. See, I've actually got two sets of wire strippers, and I'm always never quite sure which I prefer. I've also got some of the big automatic ones, but they really only work for things that are way bigger than this. So I've got this kind as well. And I think they're marginally less annoying than these, but I suspect these are all too cheap. Piece of variable board provides. Yeah, I mean, I've got plenty of that actually. I mean, I was just going to go with trying to follow the really neat, because the way the Nerf gun design from Little French Robot there came out was it just looked really neat the way he'd done those. But yeah, a Vero board is certainly an option as well actually. And you know what? I guess I have time now to experiment and see what. What's supposed to happen? It's supposed to be well secured. Okay. And I've just realised yesterday the kids borrowed my multimeter, so might have to look around for that when it comes to testing connections later. Oh, I'll put the bin all the way over there. Righty, okay, well, I'm going to move the robot. Oh, and that was my soldering iron. Luckily it's not turned on yet, so that's a good idea not to turn it on until you're actually in use, eh? Okay, right. Let's just get this organised a little bit. So my entire space is pretty limited here. It's quite tiny. So if I just lift you up, and I'll try not to be too wobbly. Okay, so there is the rest of the living room, and this big IKEA shelf divides it, so it's where I get to sit. I've got the cupboard full of goodies here. There's the desk, and I'm trying not to get the infinite feedback thing. Basically I use the window shelf to store some stuff, 3D printer here, but as you can imagine, the space is just a little bit cozy. Could get something clean looking with a variable solution. Yeah, that's kind of true, I suppose. Let me see, where are my variables? Let me just find out. Now, one of the things I've started doing in some futile attempt to try and catalogue what's in my lab and keep an eye out, keep control of where everything is so I can find it again. I set up a Memento, which is like a phone database, because I've nearly always got my phone on me, even if my laptop isn't with me, because my laptop isn't always with me in my lab. So Memento is a little, I don't know if you can see that, it's an Android phone app. Let's try and get under the focus. I don't know if it is. Let's take off this light because that might make it less washed out. And so I created myself a little robot parts inventory database. Let's see if I can. Better. To try and just, I don't know, basically so I could find stuff in my lab. So not everything's in it. Do I have Vero? No, maybe I have strip board. Oh, well, this isn't working, is it? Boards, level shifter boards, 50 by 56, perf board. There we go. So let's see if I can get this even closer focus. So it's a database on a phone that has the ability to run little JavaScript scripts just to search for things. In theory, I think there's a cloud option where I can then go and share it with some desktop-y thing. But I guess it's just the fact that I can catalogue stuff in. So 28 by 6 might be about the smallest I've got, at least catalogued. A1. So A1 corresponds literally box A1 to a box. Well, it might be organised, apart from it probably represents about 10% of my stock, but I've been slowly working through bits of my stock trying to categorise it, just because I know I have definitely bought probably multiple times things that I already have, and that bit where I end up, I don't know, interrupting whatever I was making to dig for hours for that item, I'm sure I have, and maybe I still don't find it and have to buy it, or and I'm just going, well, if I've got the stock database, it gets a bit easier to find. Now, actually, the stock itself, in terms of organising, my system, it's basically I find an empty slot in one of these boxes, stuff the item into it and stick it in the database, and therefore it's not like there's a particular this must go in this kind of box. It's more like there's empty space, it goes in here. Now that box A1 that this references is this box here, so it's quite a big box, quite full of stuff, so I'm still not quite sure I've got this system entirely right, but okay, those are 28 by 6. The other sizes I've got, and those are too big. Those are way too big, and those are actually a bit. Those were way too cheap. They were a bit nasty, because these ones, the pads are wonky, and the pads lift off. And the only thing I really tried with these was the JDY thing. You end up looking through every box until you find. Yeah, take several attempts, or you give up and buy it. And I guess in the Maplin day, giving up and buying it was something that happened more often. Not exactly an option right now. So cataloguing what I've stock-wise might become more important than before, I guess, for a while. So I've got a bunch, but this looks like the closest, and I guess what I could do is stick this board onto the flat bay at the back of the robot. Because actually that panel back there, well, the first thing I'm going to be doing is strapping the battery in, but maybe, yeah, that board's nice and tiny, I guess, so yeah, okay. Alrighty. So of course I'm going to cheat again, and actually, to be fair, I'm probably more in my comfort zone soldering. Easiest way to find something. Yeah, well, if finding something's going to take 3 hours and the replacement is £3, there's this part that goes, maybe I'm just going to buy another one. But then on the other hand, if I've organised it already, that's not going to be a problem. So, it kind of I guess you could say it's a money-saving exercise. I seem to have lost the tip spinner. Oh, there it is. 1 second, going out of shot again. There we go. So I use this stuff every time I turn on the soldering iron. Doesn't smell too friendly, but it does actually it makes for a very nice tip anyway. I find it makes it easier to solder with. So flux cord 60/40 solder. And yeah, this stuff. I totally gave up. Once I found these things, totally gave up on the sponge. I mean, the sponge just now seems totally, utterly pointless. Oh, so the other thing I should do in this little stock database is, the interface is a bit janky, but let's just let it know that I'm down to 1. Oh, once one replacement arrives, missing. Oh, yeah. That has genuinely happened to me more than once. Yeah. Right, I'll put the wire cutter up here, make myself some space because I'm kind of running low on space over here, and I'll put the other bits for the robot over on that side. And I guess I'm not going to need this for now. Oh, where was that? Was that here? I think, was it? Oh, it's there now. I know some people with these. I did once, the very first time, I had an incredibly well planned out, well thought out tool wall, and now things just end up where there's space. But I've seen people who've drawn outlines for each tool on these, so then everything has a place. And for some very bizarre reason, tape seems to have taken over, and over there I've got everything: painter's tape, capped on tape, insulating tape, foam double-sided tape. I don't know, mad. So handy. Right, just because I'm not going to hold it with my fingers. One of them. And in that case, I'm going to need another box, which has got the... One of the bits I didn't catalogue yet, or get around to cataloguing yet, was the box I think that's got all of the male, as in the male breadboardable DuPonts. So I think it might be a rummage. Do all of this off air, as it were, the rummaging. But, there we go, that's one of those, so we can get one of them. And you know what, that also means that from the motor I could go, well, sorry, from the motor, from the battery I could go JST into this thing as well. Well, from the motor, that's not such a bad idea either, from the two rollers. The two rollers have got to go to the FET first though. Anything else I need from that box? I'm just going to put that box where I can get to it, because that's not one of the labelled boxes. Again, running out of space utterly here. So stuff I use most frequently definitely tends to bubble to the top. There's this element of that. Chaos theory, random story. Does not work again. So I think random storage works, and I'm kind of almost doing random storage, but with the app telling me where the random store was. But yes, actually this was based on the random storage principle. That's entirely exactly what I was going with. Oh, hello, Elena's arrived. Right. Excuse me a second, don't. Just going to chuck those in the bin. So, never find anything after doing a tidy up. So, I will clear my desk down to make space, and it needs another one of those, and this area behind me has gotten a bit junky again. There's actually bits of a disassembled 3D printer back there, which I've still not figured out what to do with. That was the Orionrobot, which was basically turning into a fire risk, so it was like, okay, right, disassemble that, find something else to use the parts for. But then when the stuff goes in there, basically I'm trying to make sure when it goes in using a database to say where it's stored. But then there's this element of sometimes I'll take a tray out to get one item, and then that tray will go in because it hasn't been catalogued before. Right. There we go. Soldering iron is on. I'll get a better view of this. Oh, there we are. What I've still not done is with this 28x6 worked out exactly where I'm going to put things. So while the iron's already heated, so what we're going to do, something like, well, I guess you could just do, I guess we could just stick the 3 servos up together like that. Start with that part. Do the power input over here. Now, I'm probably going to still go with the boost converter is in line with the battery, so the boost converter might have a JST either side of it, one in, one out. So one at the battery voltage and one at 5 volts. So I'm going to need to adjust that. Got to remember that. What am I soldering? Okay, so just so because Helena's going to miss this bit, going to solder this little board here to connect 3 servo motors for the Nerf dart part.
Ooh.
Yeah, hold on, it's all tangled in something. So we've got the fire, the tilt and the pan servos. I'm going to solder those connectors for those into the board. Going to solder in a connector for power, to power the servos. Going to solder in probably, I guess we want a 4-way. Now, wait a minute, those servo motors, yeah, what if I did something to the Pi, and actually we're probably going to want 5 connectors going to the Pi, so what if I went and did a 5-way thing here? Now, just remember the iron is hot, so if I did a 5-way thing down here, where we had servo 1, so 1, 2, 3, and the last one is going to be ground to the Pi. Don't think I'm going to have any logic up here, but it might be worth having a 6th connector in case I want some other logic power, but I don't think so. I can always add more if I need more, right? But I know I'm definitely going to want... See, now I'm in 2 minds about the barrel motor, whether I stick the barrel motor on just a switch and turn it on when I'm ready to go, or whether I put it under Pi control with a FET. Because there's a possibility, because it's almost the kind of thing where I know when I'm going to go into shooting mode, so I started off in shooting mode, and then I've still got the shoot server that would load the barrel. I can leave the barrel motors on when going into the trap, but then it's a bit of a waste of power. So okay, let's do this one, which is the so rollers. Oh, I've gone off screen. Helena, you're going to have to tell me when I do that.
Oh, by the way, I checked out your live stream and it's very echoey.
Oh.
Quite echoey.
Ah, okay. Thank you. In which case, I've got 2 mics connected. Whoops. Let's just see which one. Device default.
Sorry,
Blue Snowball. No, thank you. Okay. Let's... Right, hopefully you can still hear me, but without an echo. Thank you, Helena.
I'll go check.
Okay, she's going to go check on the stream. It might take a while to catch up because there's a bit of a lag here. Just one thing to know, go on. I'm game. So I am going to make a bit more space for that. So the rollers, if the motors are on for a while, they get hot. Okay. Yeah, I guess they would. So in which case, I'm going to go with just the eek gone very quiet, very quiet. Oh, right. Okay, let me try the other mic because I got 2 mics. I got the Blue Snowball over here, and I've got the main mic on the laptop. Okay, let me try the other combination. I don't know. This might be lower quality, and the rollers can go a bit soft. Ooh, the actual. Ooh, I see what you mean. So the PLA gets soft. Yeah, no, I don't think I want that. Yeah, okay. So the other slight thing here is there's going to be a boost converter for the servo motors, but the battery I'm using, it's going to be a 3.7 volt output. The only motors I was able to find at the time are supposed to be 3 volt nominal. So I've managed to shoot it at 3 volts and it shot out with enough power to be useful. So I'm going to keep it at 3 volts. That's louder. Hopefully it's loud and it's clear and it's not echoey. So I think I'm glad Helena's going and checking on the stream to tell me how I sound. Maybe I can get her to go and show me what the lag is like as well, how many seconds, because it's not actually oh right, okay, so I've just seen her go out of the room at this point. Blimey. So it's still telling me not optimal. It's telling me stream status is good. The resolution is a bit of an old resolution. I'm not entirely sure why OBS has done that, so I may still have to do some stuff with that. Okay, so I guess for the rollers, let me go with, I'm going to need space for the JSTs because they're a bit wider, so I guess if I have a JST for the rollers, and yes, it's a particular flavour of JST and I can't remember, is it the MH or something, and I know there's this terrible, everyone just says JSTs, and in fact I ended up buying a thing that was the wrong thing because of the non-distinction of which types of JSTs. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably just going to check they mate and go with the ones that mate with the with the battery, and then use the same ones throughout. I have got it written down on the box somewhere, but yeah. So I'll do that one for the rollers, and I'm going to go 2 across for power, and that's power from, let me see, so there's power from batteries. Don't worry about the lag, we can all cope. Yeah, that's true. I just guess it means that, you know, I'm going to be responding a little bit behind. So there's power from the main motor is going to be running without the boost converter in it, the main rollers. So we're going to need both on this board, and that means I can just stuff the FET on this. Oh, right. This makes it way easier. JST bad, had to cut off and re-terminate. Yeah, quite. So we have power from. Right. Let's have room. So power from the boost, and again I'll leave a bit more space and go power from batteries. Makes me think the roller shouldn't be here, because if that's the input for the rollers, we need that FET somewhere. I guess what I need to probably do is just not cramp myself all up into one space. You know what? I can miniaturize later. That, you know, I've got this whole board, and if I need to miniaturize, I'll go with it. So maybe I'm overthinking this, and maybe all I need to do is go something like the Pi goes in at one end. You still can't see that. Can I use a clearer, bigger, fatter pen? Maybe if I use a darker pen, it'll make more sense. So if I have, is that any clearer? See, I can see this, but I don't think you can. Right, so let's go with plan B, which I'm going to make this way simple. Plan C, I guess, actually. With the Pi, so we go servo 1, servo 2, servo 3, and the rollers, and then we go ground, and I'm going to leave a 3v3. I don't think I'm going to use it, but you know, future expansion, I don't know, it might fall foul of the Agni principle. The Agni, you aren't going to need it. Right, now it still makes sense for the servo motors to just be set up like this for those 3, so that's nice and easy. I'm just putting dots to show where they're actually soldered in, so then I can just link that and that and that. For the rollers, I guess we would want, and I have to think this one through, so the FET probably is going to go something like that, but I have to remember where the let me look at the FET. I have got, so I couldn't get the exact same transistor you got, so I went with something similar. I don't think you're going to be able to get that without the microscope, actually. No. Okay, right, well, just because I can never remember which way round these are, it's a P36 NF06L. I know they're all vaguely the same as well. This is me being, you know, I have to look at things to remember them, I guess. No, I want the data sheet. I don't want the, give me the data sheet. Sigh. I wonder if I can add this screen in. Oh. Right. So warning, this might be interesting. I'm going to try and switch scenes. And that's browser going to an old properties. Oh, go on, can't handle this? No, it can't handle a PDF in that browser. So that's the browser built in to OBS. That's not going to work. I'll do Safari. Oh, okay, right. That camera would help. Let's see if I can get it to pull in Safari. Safari datasheet. Ah, there we are. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, right. So that's a TO220, which I'm planning on putting in. Oh, hold on. Why is that suddenly upside down? Probably because that scene has a transform that the others don't. Let's just hey, and now everything's in the way. But right. So this is. Let me just draw something around where we're planning now. Right, that's got to be way clearer to you guys. Apart from my janky writing, but you know, that's fine. 1, 2, 3. So gate drain source. Guess we'd say gate drain source, right? 1, 2, 3. And where's the actual show? Nope. 1, 2, 3 is this way up. Okay, good. Right. So, I mean, you know what? I could, and it's not exactly going to be a heatsink for it, but I could even just bore a hole here just to show which side the FET is going to go down, and even maybe to stop it flapping in the wind. That EEV blog says flapping in the breeze, doesn't he? That's his. It's one of his pet hates is things that aren't bolted, elastic, or whatever. I'm sure that's not what we call it. Okay, cool. So, guess that's that one. Now, am I fair and right in assuming that drain is actually going to go to the real motors and source is going to come from the input supply? So what do I want to do with that? I guess somewhere here and do some wiring behind to make it work. Let's give myself some space because I've got plenty of that, and then JST take a bit more. So we'll do this for rollers, and I'm going to do this up here for batteries. Because at some point, beyond sticking all the connectors on, I've got to go and wire it behind as well. Let me see. Big work, small me. Big work, small me. Disconcerting how that's in the other corner. Probably make these roughly the same. There we go. I've set it up in OBS, so I've got a bunch of titled things: big work, small me, big me, small work, so on and so forth. You know, just make them obvious to myself. And I guess you do boost out and somewhere. Now I'm not going to put that in line with the rollers. I'm going to put that sideways down here because I think that makes sense, or maybe that should be. Okay, well, we'll figure that out. I don't know. Boost in, which will mean if that's GND, then I can basically say that that track is all ground. I guess we get to... It's going to be... I suppose I'm going to try and put that at 6. Whereas... that is also going to be a ground here, but I guess I'm not going to assume that the ground into the boost and the ground out of the boost are the same ground. I'm not always sure. That's not always a safe assumption, I believe. Right, I'm going to go green for just the battery voltage. So green for that one. Black for that one. And the other thing this green is going to go to, I believe, is down to source here. And effectively there's going to be one of these goes off up here. I can guarantee I'm going to end up having to re-terminate or something. I'm going to just have to make sure I don't get that the wrong way around. And the rollers are going to be connected straight through to this ground. Now I'm hoping this doesn't cause a problem for the transistor, but is that going to work if the transistor's gate is coming then? So the gate... Run out of colours. I need another colour, like a yellow or something. Goodness. This is where I need my assistant to help. Which way up are they? Ground voltage. So let's just remember we've got S, V and G for the servos. So we can maybe take that down here. Oops. And I guess here I'm going to take that one through those. And obviously don't want to cross those wires. Just going to grab a different colour just so I can do the signal wires in a different colour. Helps me clear up in my head what's going on. Have to go and get those from the kids' supplies because I don't tend to keep many coloured pens in my lab. I do occasionally plan things like this out in software, but it's quite nice just to scribble on a grid paper. So let's use yellow, just like they do with the servos, I guess. There's a yellow to there as well. Okay, and this one's actually a not connected. It's just a possibility. NC is where, yeah. So just verify that's all gonna. So I guess this is it. The one bit I'm slightly worried about here, the one bit I'm not sure is going to work, and someone perhaps with more experience could inform me on this one. Am I still... Stream health still good? Oh, warning. Okay, something slightly iffy going on here. Is this business with the FET? So the one thing I'm worried about here is my gate is going to be referenced to this shared ground here, which is from the boost input and the pi, but the drain and source are referenced to the battery input, which is 3.7 volts, but basically as much current as those rollers are going to pull. which may cause interesting problems. I don't know if that's going to cause also the servos to flake out if they're not getting enough current. Worst case is I go the other way and make this 6 volt from the rest of the Pi and robot system, and basically don't bother with this setup at all. But I'm kind of then worried about the overall current on the robot. I guess I'm probably not going to be trying to drive and fire at the same time, so there might be an element of the servos are just fine on the main robot's power, so that might be where this gets used instead. So this is again where I'm vaguely worried about this one. This whether the gate being referenced to a different ground. I guess actually what I could do, just to set my mind at ease, is let's take this, which is our boost converter, just check if the grounds are connected or if one of them's actually kind of a virtual ground at some other potential from the original ground. So let me just grab my multimeter. I said kids borrowed the multimeter. So, oh, there we go. They didn't leave it on and it's in a sensible state. That's good. Let's go and put it into so continuity mode. So in, ground and out. Yay! Okay. Right, no worries at all. Whew. In which case, does that mean I get to simplify this? Yeah, it does. Because actually I can make this shorter connection instead of this connection here. So that's handy. So the batteries just go across there. So the only right, okay, so there's a kind of a all grounds to be connected to a common point. I've seen some power supplies where I'm not 100% sure that's a safe assumption. That's why I kind of checked it out. I've seen which ones was it? Where effectively, you know, the ground at the power in was something like, I think 2 or 3 volt below the ground on the output side. So you definitely didn't want to short them or you blow the crap out of the power supply. So yeah, there are systems like that, but you're right, really should be all connected to a common point, and that's what we're trying to go for. But if we can assume that actually that the boost out and boost in, you know what, I've wired these, I should say, out to boost, because this is what that really means, and in from boost, because that's less confusing. But the out to boost and in from boost actually means that those grounds are connected through the boost anyway, so that kind of simplifies my thinking a little bit. Okay, let's go find all the connectors I'm going to need. So this is nice and easy. Now somewhere I have a funky tool which I've probably long lost. Hi Moroni did the Octasnap, which was a handy tool for snapping off lots of DuPonts, and it is handy. If I put it somewhere I can find it. Aha, there it is. This thing. So it has got numbers printed on it, and you go, well, I need 6, so you just pop that in and snap, and we have 6. 3. I suspect I may be talking to people who've all seen the Octasnap anyhow, but still. Okay. Those are all JST, and I suspect what might be a smart idea would be to do one gender going out to the boost converter and one gender coming in. That way it can't go in the wrong way. I meant the output ground should be common with a Pi, input booster ground and then be battery only, not cause problem, even if not. Yes, so output ground is common with the Pi, so that would here, so that the Pi Pi connector here, that ground here, is common with the input from the boost, and common with the servos. But I think now we've just tested out that actually it's also common with there through the output as well. So luckily, it's all good. But yes, exactly. No, that the output ground would have to be common with the Pi. Otherwise, I don't think it make any sense to the servo. So yes, that's absolutely right. Absolutely what I expect. So those wires I cut earlier might be the wrong kind. Let's pop that in. My next thing I need is a box of JST goodies. Let's see if I can get away with turning this off for a minute because it's getting a bit hot. It's a bit dark. I've got the lights complaining about heat. Is it in my wonderful system? Not everything was, so let's have a go. Let me see, I've got XH, SM, PH. Okay, well let's start with the XH. Shelf B. Oh, great. So they're just in that box, that's an open box thing. So the only thing about this is it looks like my plan to go with one connector one side. It may be that I've only got one polarity of connector for those. JST SM. Yeah, I might go and use let's use a Sharpie because it just says B on it. It doesn't actually say which one it is, so Sharpie tends to stay on this plastic, I think. JST SM 2.5. And they are all in line, so here we are, nice label there. Like the tool, have to 3D point as won't have access to laser. Might have to 3D print? Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. I guess I don't really. There is a laser cutter in the hack space local to me, but I guess Leo will tell you I don't go there too often, so I haven't really made use of it. Okay, having a bit of trouble finding the right box here. See, I guess a system of organ. Oh, nearly knocked out a whole bunch of those. That might be the right thing. I think I've just knocked over a bunch of the lovely bootlace ferrules. I'll tidy that up later. Oh dear. Well, yes, quite. No, I suppose the hack space, the Richmond Maker Labs, I only made it there once or twice really. I mean, I've been there a few times, but not regularly. Okay, XH and XHP. Well, what's the difference between the XH and the XHP? Are they compatible and the same? Tell you what, there's one way to find out. If I take one of those and one of those, yeah, they're the same. Okay. And That is the right kind for the battery. Ooh. Wait a second. It would be frustrating if neither of these were quite the right kind. No, it's not these. It's neither of these then. Hold on. This is going to get frustrating. So it is not the XH. P for polarized. You'd think so, but then these are polarized as well. So they're not hugely different. So yeah, I mean, they might just be two brands. Okay, hold on. So it's not. Or plug v socket. Oh, well, here it just says XH there as well, and where there's XHP, so maybe they're just synonymous. Don't know. All right, hold on. JST. So we did the XH, the XHP. We did the SM. 2-pin connector wires, and this might be I have to do exactly what you just mentioned about cut off and re-terminate this. I mean, I'd rather not, because then it makes the battery less replaceable, but it just, I mean, I can't, I don't really want to force it in here if it's not going to go. It's actually at a different pitch. It's 2mm. Wait a second, do I have anything that's 2mm? pH. Okay, right. I do not have the right thing. What I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to stick with the battery being just what it is, as in just go with the pH rat tails that are where? Box A1. I'll use the rat tails for the battery, and then everything else I'm going to base it on what I have, right? I don't think I have much of a choice, to be honest, because I don't think I have any board connectors that are pH, so it's alright. Make it up as I go along. Right, so I've got a bag of these. Of both polarities, and I was planning on really just attaching one of those straight to that board as well, but not if they're the wrong kind. So that'll do for the battery. Okay, now I've got to get it off again. Oh, and handily they've already given it polarity, which does happen to match the battery polarity. That would be frustrating. Okay, alrighty. But I think I'm going to just crimp connectors for, and where have I put it now? Yeah. So, while it might be convenient to put the rat tails on here, given I've got no board-to-board connectors and I don't need that much wire hanging around the robot. 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's go with a set of these. I'm also vaguely worried about whether I've got enough length on those motors, the motors on the robot. But you know what, I can add splices or intermediate connected bits if I have to. Righty, what else do I need? I'm going to try and prepare all the bits I think I'm going to need. If that's just one wire there, where did I put that stranded wire? Over here. I can even use the same colours. Single core wire, sorry, not stranded. So let me see. Write some numbers down. Got 10. That 13. That is 13. Okay, fair enough. Which means that's 9 plus insulation, so we probably want 11 there for that piece here. What I might do with this is jump one across to here and then just put a strip that goes across the 3. And I will actually use yellow for those, because I think I can, because I have yellow. So the colours I've used on this diagram are all colours I genuinely have, but what I might do is make this one connector here white, because I have an extra colour and I want to distinguish that part. Okay, and I may yet later turn this into a real diagram, but not today. Right, let's start with the power. Of course, I've gone with numbers and they've gone with letters. 5, I'm sure there are people, 10, 11. I think I need more than that. I think I need way more insulation hanging around than that. So let's make it this long. I can always trim the wire underneath. So there's that one. There's the shorter jump. That. That's probably way too long, the short jump. Okay. Actually, I've gone with 3 insulated here, but actually for that connection there, I could literally just drag solder or use a... No, I didn't need to cut those. What a waste. This one, I guess we'll go with that. Oops, that, probably way too long. Okay, and we will do I mean, they can all be a bit shorter, but I'm not going to have too little if I go with this, I guess. But then we have to shorten them. So I've got 5 people on. Let's just, okay, it's kind of just seeing what's happening on there, seeing if the tweet announcement of this is going. Right, now at that point onwards, and again this is all too long anyway because I know this is 5 times the size of these things. What I'm going to do along that line and the other line, and this is a tip taken from, I think, Mr. EV blog. Is to have a few of those hanging around for this kind of thing. Component legs. In fact, for the FET connections, I think blue. The blue one I'm going to want a cable for real. The green one I've got, so I'll go with. That's only going to be. Oh well, I'm not going to bother putting in the right angles yet, but that will be enough. I'm sure that will be enough. Okay. This isn't my usual way of working. I don't really have a system. I'm just kind of going with it and seeing what works. So don't imagine this is by any time, any stretch, some recommended way of doing things. I am definitely making this up as I go. Yeah, why not? I suppose it's fun. Righty. What next? Okay, I'm going to put all the connectors in first, and then come back for the wires, because I suspect I might space it out, because it might be nice to be able to, where I've got to have wires terminate. Maybe not. I don't know. Only, yeah, small ones I can drag solder across, and I have done before where I've just soldered on the back of a board the wire straight onto a connector's back end, so that's worked before as well. Okay, let's turn on the soldering iron again. And actually the other thing I'm going to do is, for those connectors, I'm going to go lay them out upside down in a breadboard, so then they're easier to connect. So just find my breadboard. Apparently it's not entirely healthy for a breadboard to have these DuPonts pushed into it, but yeah, these are not the most expensive things in the world either. So I want let's start with the 6 and the 3 of those. I'll get that in first. Oh, I just kind of slid. Okay. I wonder if I might use a slightly cheaty section over here. It's not really cheating. I'm sure I'll need that 6 later. I'm sure I'll have lost it in the... oh, you know what I just did? I made a 7 instead of a 6. Okay, right, fine. It's over here I want it anyway, isn't it? Okay, so I only use that just to stabilise before I solder this. Where's my flux pen? Okay, you know, it's fluxing, it's solder that is fluxed. I would have liked to have used a flux pen. I love how, on this board, it prints A through to ZAB this way up, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you flip it, that A maps to a B on this side. And it would probably be, I guess this might be from getting things cheap enough or cheapo on Amazon. It's probably contributed to mapping going away. But yeah, it's not ideal that those letters don't match those letters, although the other way up. What about the numbers? That's 6. That's 6. Well, at least the numbers match, but I just don't understand why the letters matching isn't a thing that they consider important. I may yet need that, but not quite yet. Okay. Right. Let's going to carefully move my diagram out of the way of the bit of the desk where I need not careful enough. That's alright, I'll sort that out later. Okay, I want to have that there. Could be a little dangerous if soldering on both sides. Yeah, right, it's a bit mad, isn't it, that they put the wrong letters on. I have definitely messed myself up proper, and I have to be careful this time with it too, where I am designing the front of the board, but I'm soldering the back of the board. And you know what, thinking about this, that might be exactly what I'm about to do, because I'm going to be soldering the FET one way up and attaching it the other. Okay, I just got to remember that when I come to soldering the FET. But does that mean that this is already the wrong way? because I've done this to set, so this has to be a mirror. This has to be the other way up. Yeah. This has definitely messed me up before. Just this thing about remembering that I have to reverse it. Right, and these are actually, okay, these are damn tricky to get out. Right, if I've got those three up, yeah, that has messed me up more than once. It's no fun to have soldered a board and then find you need to do the lot again because you've gone and done the wrong side up. So maybe I have to remember that that in my diagram is a front view and I'm soldering from the rear, so yeah. I'll go that way up. I can push the other components in the front and then right. Okay, we are good to go. This might be a moment where I switch from my face to just the work, because otherwise you're going to be staring at the top of my head. So let's do that for a few minutes. Heat both up. Yay. Oh, that's going to be a dry jump straight up. Okay, let's do this one. Just so that connector is, come on. Okay, that's moving around too much. Let's kind of mad, but it gives it a bit more mass. No, I meant to go the other way. Yes, that way. Just so it doesn't move around so much. Let me give that a bit more. Oh. So what I didn't really do with this little live stream is I didn't really do much in the way of letting people it was going to happen. I guess I just kind of went for I mean, I mentioned a bit on Twitter that I was going to do a Saturday live stream, but there we go. Bear in mind there's going to be wire connections to all of these made shortly, so these are all going to get reheated again. So now this is ever so slightly naughty because I should probably have my extractor fan running. I'm just slightly wary the extractor fan is going to completely drown me out. So, okay, you can tell me if this sounds too wrong. But I suspect it's better than solder fumes. And let's face it, the last thing any one of us want to develop right now is a nasty cough. So I think I will keep the extractor on. But just tell me if it's completely drowning me out, and I'll at least try to project more or something, you know, my voice. Right. Safety for... Well, yeah, exactly. I'm not wearing goggles either. I guess it's, you know, more... Really, if I'm doing lots of cutting, you know, when I'm cutting the things off, I like to wear goggles because then it pings off. Whereas normally with a soldering iron, I don't really find that there's stuff aimed at my eye when I'm soldering. So, you know, I've not really gone for safety goggles when doing that. Right, okay, let's go back round this way. What next? Right, that one's not actually to be soldered. That one's just holding it on. So I guess I can use the components to do the major layout of the board and then come back for wiring. So the FET. I said the FET was going to go in this way up. Is it me? Is that a handy 3? You can't really see that light is... I'm very sorry, that light's facing right at you instead of down here where it's needed. Do so. It's a good point. I don't know if anyone saw my tweet last night. I had a moment last night where I was like, wait a minute, I bet you UV could sterilise enough to kill COVID-19. And I went searching on Google and found that literally, I don't know, something like 20 minutes before I searched Google, a story being posted on BBC News with someone making a robot designed to sterilise things like hospital rooms and what have you, using very, very powerful UV lights. And the idea is, you know, make sure there's no humans in the room and probably pets, I guess, not in a hospital. And then it would just blast this light, and apparently everything smells vaguely like burning hair, which probably means all the spiders and other bugs have just been fried. The only thing is, they were selling this at something like 57 or 53. It was 53k a piece for these robots, and I think the core of the tweet last night was, can we do better than 53k? Because I could bet you in the community we have 53k for a robot that goes in the middle of the room. You saw the UV suggestion, yeah. 53k sounds like a lot. I mean, I know you got some power management, but yeah, really, 53k? It does make me think that I think our health services are being taken for a ride by, you know, technology companies who are making stuff at such a ludicrous markup. You know, it's slightly offensive. Right, that's so close to be alarming. Fried spider, crispy. Well, I guess it's another way if you had any problems with bed bugs, or you had oh god knows what on the walls, right? Yeah, then you have to rent one. Yeah, no, I guess you're right, but I mean, again, if it's a robot that's going to go in and sterilise a room and go out, it's not going to be attached to a patient. But yeah, I mean, the other thing you could do is, I mean, just take a big UV lamp, stick it on a stand, have the person stand outside the room and turn it on. Maybe have it have a kind of a revolving scanner. But I mean, you could do that on public transport as well. You know, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. Run it over the trains or the buses that are still running. But yes, I do get you, Leo. And there's also there's probably a whole bunch of IP law around stuff that they've used as well. But still, 53k per robot. That's a shockingly large amount. You know, you could build quite a luxurious robot. May come to well, quite panic buying. Right, I've moved that one across because that was actually too close. I was thinking it was going to foul these a bit, and I am going to bend that round. Where are my pliers? What have I done with my pliers? Here they are. Last time I visited the hospital, bathrooms seemed to... They did, but their UV lights will probably be somewhat less powerful than these ones, I guess. Probably these ones are within the limit of not giving you, what do they call it, the flash, where your eyes go a bit wrong. This one was to the point where it would basically slightly cook a layer of your skin off. So you really wouldn't want that one in the bathrooms. Right, so I'm going to grip that. And there we are, like that. So not going to need to make my hole, because actually where this is set up, it's run out of breadboard, because obviously my drawing was not to any sort of scale that's ever going to be useful, so that's fine. I guess the only thing you could scale at all on were the holes. Alright, I'm going to just slide that. Economies of scale, if you're only selling tens, cost is higher than if you're selling thousands. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but you probably want to sell... It would be helpful if it was the lower economy of selling hundreds, but, you know, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I get you. There's going to be a lot of these discussions about the cost of medical equipment, I'm imagining. Right. There's the FET. Nice and neat. And now, so I went 2 across from the FET, which is over there, for this one for the rollers. I'm going to do that this way up. There's 2 spaces. Would sell shitload. Language. I should probably not be swearing on this, because there might be people. Don't know how many people are on, so I'll try and be very... CT scan appointment. Oh gosh, yeah, that is going to be interesting. Yeah, I guess there might be an element of not being able to count on such services remaining. CT scans and the like. Right, so for the rollers, I guess the polarity of this doesn't matter hugely. But let's see how close the batteries would be. Whether I want to move it one down. Well, that's alright, that'll work. Okay, so I can go with that, roughly the same plan. Okay, and for these I might... Oh, these are going to be a pain, aren't they? I can't stick them in the breadboard. And... Right, for the batteries, however... For the batteries, I was going to go with a rat tail, so let's not solder that in. Let's solder the rat tail in when it comes to it. For these others, however, so the boost converter is 1, 2. It's a bit close. I'll go over there. And I guess I said the other side would go over here. Well, that now seems a bit odd. Fortunately, just follow-up check for treatment would rather not miss it. Well, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Interesting times, isn't it, really? And that's the... That now feels kind of janky. It doesn't feel right. It looked okay on paper. Doesn't look right now. I mean, I'd much rather it was. And you know what? I mean, there's an element of I don't know if I want to use this for other expansion and extension. Yeah. Again, this might be Yagni, and I can always wire across if I need to. But it still feels better if I go with that, because then we can do out to boost, in from boost, and we just make sure do ground and voltage. Okay, I'm going to update my diagram. Where's my pen? Yeah. So ground voltage. So I'm basically just going to swing that round there instead, and go with the same otherwise. No, I think that was that way. Okay, fine. Right. So this one, I'm just going to have to balance it on these JSTs and solder it that way. Right. So what you can't quite see, I don't know if I can get the camera down where you can see this. Focus, there we go. So the DuPonts are longer than the JSTs, so I can't just balance it on the JSTs. That's not going to work. I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to get this to stay down, how I can hold it. Well, what I could do, actually, okay, I shouldn't have let them all drop out, should I? After so much wonderful arrangement. Yeah, I heard that news. I did see that. Oh gosh, I mean, it's the kind of thing you don't want to hear even at the best of times, and right now it's not exactly the best of times. Yeah, that's right. What if I stick that down here? It's not going to work like that. Maybe I just need, okay, bigger breadboard. Let's just get a bigger breadboard. Look like I don't have them. Really, the end of it's got to go in. Should fit the lowest profile. I guess I went for the DuPonts because it was an easy layout, kind of set out the layout, but yeah, you're probably right. Right, I'm going to put this one here just so... Oh, that one's not going to contribute at all anyway, but... Right, fine. Okay, if I go with that as a rig, there. Okay, right. Just going to try and get. Oh, the NHS are fantastic. I'm just hoping that. I'm just hoping we don't end up at the Italy levels, right? I mean, I think that's what we're all hoping is, you know. That was the. It's whether we can. I hope our NHS copes, and I really like the idea of a test. Oh, well, that was what you were saying. The idea of the test for the antibodies to show people have already got the antibodies and are likely immune, assuming that is the case, that they become immune through having the antibodies. And I really like that idea of then saying, right, well, these people have wristbands, so we know those people can then go out and work and do, well, either medical jobs or other essential tasks, you know, and maybe shift work off of people who are not immune and are doing essential jobs. I mean, I'm thinking, you know, like medical, power, food. Good workaround, rotate 90 degrees would have worked. Not quite, frustratingly. So I wanted to do 90 degrees but these have got 5 pins and that's got 6 pins. Assuming that's what you meant. Right, that's all the connectors. Oh, there's one more connector, which is actually the rat tail. So where the polarity matters. So that means coming back to, maybe I should take a snapshot of that and go and stick it in another window so then you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me go snapshot this. Should have done that ages ago. Oh well. Right, if I snapshot this with my phone camera, show it on my desktop. Cool. And okay. Right. Bear with 1 minute. Quickly using cheap mass producer. Right, exactly, wouldn't it? Yeah, and if it was the antibodies test and showed that, you know, so it'd be a quick, easy mass produced test that you could also just mail shot to people. Oh, sorry, yeah, cool. Let's talk more robots. I am totally with that. Good. What am I going to do? Photos. So I'm just going to make sure it's all synced. And I rotate that. There we go. Right. There we go. Can you guys see that? So that's a picture of the thing I'm working to, so you can see while I'm doing. I need now possibly. Okay, if I hit the done button down here, what I'll do. Okay. Oh, no, that was not what I meant. It's this one. Why can't I? There. Put that in the corner. Hopefully you can see the diagram, the rough sketch. So this one is for the batteries, which I want ground to be in line with the rollers down here, and positive to be up here. So this rat tail has got very little actually. I'm going to strip that a bit more. And these have been nicely tinned, I guess, but still. There we go. Oh, you see, this is the thing. That's why I probably need to get either. How come one of them came off almost without a fight? Yeah, famous last words. Right, There we go. Right, since I'm just about to solder it, I'm not going to tin it, I'm going to solder it straight in. Okay, so ground here. Oh, come on, that's being extremely fiddly. Which, of course, might be why tinning them to save the multi-core strands going all over the place would help. But right, I don't really have a good way to clamp that, so let's just go pop that in. Okay, and one. Yeah, that's dropped out again. So, and that's not a great connection. I guess any advice on this bit, on how to actually, smells good. No, if anyone's got any advice on making it so these don't drop out, I might just go for seeing if once it comes out the top, I'm going to just twist it over. I'll do that. Just clip off later. Oh, come on. Tweezers. It's still... Okay. Blue tack, yeah. Another very wrong with some blue tack. Actually, I have some. Oh, it's being a sod, isn't it? Okay. Oh. Timothy. Right. What I'm going to try and do is tin this here. Oh, it's still not. Right, or I just twist it up. Right, let's just twist it up. Drop it in. Because there's me being totally club-footed here. Right, there we go. Put it in. Fold it over like that. Oh, you know, I could always have hot glued it if I had the hot glue gun ready. You know, I might do that anyway to the rat tail just to keep it in place, because actually that's the kind of thing that I think hot glue would be a really good plan for that. Preferred solder wires to pins and directly. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, I guess. I mean, I said if I hot glue it in, it'll probably keep it reasonably okay. But we're about to start soldering wires to the back end of pins, so right. Now again, this is where I remember that the diagram is reversed. I don't know if it's that way now. Okay. The diagram is reversed in respect to the side I'm looking at. So we've got a ground connection from... Did I end up putting that in the wrong way despite being also a larger hole in the bowl brought into... Oh, yeah, that's a... Yeah, I have seen that actually, where they pass it down through and then up and over, so you end up with the... Yeah. Right. So, I have deviated from my diagram because those batteries have gone... That battery connector is reversed in respect to everything else. Sigh. That's all right. I will just remember that that ground still goes to this ground. And you know, I mean, maybe what I could have done was enlarge those holes, use that as strain relief, and taken the rat tail over to two of the connections and then carried on from there. But you know, we'll see how this works out. Does that just happen to me, or does that happen to other people too? And is this just a result of having a slightly rubbish stripping tool? Is that, yeah, that does happen to me every now and again. Let's try it again, shall we? So let's just setting this tool to see if I can get a better installation. There we go. Oh, need a bit more strip than that. Go, and I'll do the same on the other side. Oh, that did nothing. Well, okay, it did do something. I think there's this other bit where what it ends up doing. Oh, all right, I give up. It's going to be like that. I mean, to be fair, this is also where we are going from this point here to this point here. I'm just going to move my blinds across because that's right in my face. Oh, that's a bit better. It's kind of across my side there. What I've ended up with is a component leg. Hey, I have a stock of those. And it's still way too long, but I'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to drop this light. Let's see. Let's see if the camera adjusts. Just because it's getting a bit toasty. Soldering irons, lights, bright sun and all of that. Okay. Okay. I apologise for background noise. That's, I suppose, the chaos of doing a live stream. Oh, there we go. So, what I really want to do, if I do that, there, is that right? Looks about right to me. Touch short now. Oops. That's close enough. That will do, won't it? No. No, it's still not. See, I need to be doing this more often to get more practice, I guess. So I'm not soldering anywhere near as often as I should. Should? I don't know. So the majority of the stuff I've done on the existing robot has been 3D printing, which I really upped my game on. Previous years I did a lot more soldering. This year I did a lot more 3D printing, and also interesting coding. had that just right. I don't know why I pulled that out. I was slightly worried about it contacting this side. We'll see. Where's my stick device? Right, I don't want to put pressure on anything other than the board itself. But let's do this just so it has a bit more mass. There we go. So one of the things that was on, I was watching Helen Lee's live stream the other night, and she had basically just some music she was playing in background from her music collection, and I guess hers was different because hers was a live stream on Twitch, whereas live stream on YouTube is likely to stay and go into the recording, so I do have to be slightly careful about that. But I don't know if it adds to the... Oh, goodness. Oh, that was frustrating. Totally didn't see that happening. Yeah, I wonder if it would add to... as in if there was some background music going. Nothing too dramatic. If we get something from, say, the one of those Creative Commons music setups, then it would be fine. Right, so I don't know if I really need to add solder to this, so I'm going to try and see if it's how to... Okay, let's see, if I melt that joint and push it in, is that going to work? You can certainly tell me if you think I'm doing something entirely silly here. Why is that not? Oh, it is. Okay, I'm going to add solder. I was resisting adding solder, but oh, look, it's ended up in a funny angle. Exactly what I didn't want to happen. There we go. That's better. And on this side, I can just add solder. It will be, yeah, there we go. Kind of looks a bit dry jointy to me, but then that's a great big power connection, so maybe it'll be fine. Right, what was the next connection I wanted to make? So this one, that was ground to ground, so that's motor to, oh sorry, yeah, battery is to boost out. No. What I need to do is get my stripper. There we go. That's still a bit on the long side. I'm just going to strip more off to try and make it fit. I'm going to put a turn, so I can afford the length to be out there, so I'm going to put the turn up here. There we go. Maybe I need to move that. Damn it. I've completely chewed up that insulation there. It's fine, that's fine, it's still insulating, it'll still do the job it's supposed to. So, I'm also not terribly practiced with tweezers. It's gone very quiet on the chat. Everyone's still there. I realise I've been on for a good few hours, so people are probably going to have lunches. And at 2 o'clock today, there is a local coder dojo, and what we're going to do is we're going to do it all on Hangouts. So it's going to be the virtual coder dojo, and hopefully some of the parents for some of the usual attendees will be able to set that up, so we the mentors can still mentor kids learning to code virtually. Oh man, dropping out to get lunch. No, that's fair enough. That sounds good, and I don't know if I will have to do the same. And I may have. I'll probably what I might do is take a break and then come back and then live stream some more later, I guess. Yeah, definitely do also with some more conversation going on in chat. I guess it'd be quite fun to get more people in. Oh, I'm being so cack-handed with this. Is this because there is... See, I think there is a... Well, I know there are kinks in this, but I think one of those kinks is basically causing it to... Okay, let's use the pliers and just try to square that. See you later, Leo. Enjoy lunch, and yeah, thanks for dropping in. Yes, I'll have to start doing these more again. I think I used to do them. So I did a few way back when, a few years ago, and just kind of stopped. I guess I don't know why. Just got out of the habit. Ah, well, yeah, exactly. The other end of this, I think everyone's going to find that their online news is somewhat better. Oh, this one's... Oh, really? Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add solder. Going to... all that careful manoeuvring to try and keep just a little bit of insulation is a bit useless. So... Oh, what if... Okay. Let's go to... Do I have any blue tack? I don't know if I've got any close to... Yes, I do. Blue tack. So I know blue tack goes extremely soft when it gets hot, just because I've used it before. And this blue tack is soft anyway, because I think it's a bit too warm in the flat. I might see if I can cool the room down a bit. Right, there we go. Yay! Smell of heated blue tack. Right, now I've got to get all this crap off. Oh, there we go. Right. Let's do the same here. Let's add solder to the joint and then heat it and push it in. Yep, that'll do. I'm hoping all the other connections don't turn out to take that long. I'll turn that light on again. Just going to see if there's heating in the house or something. It's really warm in here. Okay, 1 second. I suspect in a short time I must also go and say hello to my family before it looks like I've forgotten them. Okay, so we made 2 of them, the connections we're going to make. Just a little bit. Oh, and of course, this one, I've got another wire to make to that one, which is going down to. Okay, it's this little thing here, which for which this is way too long. Let's get my cutters. Just cut here. Here. So one of the things I've kind of had to get, I'm quite, what's the word? I don't like wasting stuff, even just a bit of wire. It always makes me feel a bit wrong when I waste things. That's just my normal MO. Oh, I've done it again. That was ironic. But the thing is, making, practicing, learning, there's almost this kind of necessary waste involved in the process of making and learning and doing stuff. Which I kind of had to just go, yeah, okay. I mean, just like the whole 3D printing thing, okay? It can be, I find it can be quite wasteful. Like the business with, okay, I have to go and remake one, I have to, you know, I print one off, it appears to be good, and then I find a flaw and I go back and redesign and print one again. I've tried to file where I can to not waste filament. It's not expensive, it's just I don't really like producing a lot of waste plastic. You know, that doesn't quite sit well with me. But yet, I guess if you're making, there's almost no way to entirely avoid it. Just going to move this stuff out of the way a bit. See, I have seen people say for these board-to-board wires they literally just use the soldering line to burn off the insulation, but I really, really dislike the smell of that. So I'm going to just give this a little more. And the problem is maybe I'm being too aggressive by pulling with the pliers as opposed to cutting with the strippers. So the problem is that's not entirely cutting. Just making kinks. Also, a possibility the cutting element of these is a bit blunt, and I'm literally just snapping the wire when I pull on it with a. Yeah, look, it's not cutting at all. So I'm just going to quickly, at the risk of having video within the video, how many have I got? I think it's just yeah, is that just you and I? Oh, and there's a third viewer. I don't know if that's still that little French robot, okay, little French Kev, or if that's Helena just monitoring the stream, as she said she would. Okay. There we go, that's one side. Oh, stretched it. See, because it's not entirely cut, it's okay. Should still be fine. Still here? Oh, cool. Oh, I guess you were quiet, I suppose. Oh, hello. Oh, hey, hello. Wonderful. I didn't know you'd been there either. Cool. Oh, don't tell me I've now made it. Right, that might have to do. Okay, you're going to feed more solder. And come on. Probably not doing a great deal of good for that pad there. And that moved after the solder was okay. Right, let's hold this side so I'm not putting pressure on the joint. Right, I'm going to trim this a bit prematurely just so then I can do this. With that holding there to make sure there's no pressure on that joint. Be able to lift this over. Ha! And now it's working with me instead of against me. Go. Alright, that's the green connections made. Oh, that one. Okay. Next is the ground from there down to, and I'm going to keep this connected the same, I guess, as my diagram, even if the other one did come out a bit differently. Again, it's almost so short that an insulated part doesn't make sense. I do have some pre-cut jumper wires, but the thing about them is if you've got a colour scheme that you're going for, they're all coloured by their length instead. Unless maybe there are things on them that do pre-cuts in it. Yeah, what happened there? Okay. No, alright, that's just not going to happen, is it? So, on the diagram, the connection, at least it was only 10 minutes. Oh, no. Oh, well, okay, at least it was only 10 minutes. Yeah, I suppose that's true, yeah. That is frustrating as. I have got ground, batteries, ground and so on, rollers down here. So the ground from the battery goes to the ground on the rollers, which is the whole point of this connection, where it's just, it's just no insulation. It's where I'm slightly worried about, and you know what, I'm going to break one of my own rules. I'm just going to I have the extractor in. I'm going to go with the noxious fumes for a second, just because I think that's the only way I'm going to get the insulation to stay on this tiny connection. Not ideal, but really would like to think I could get a... I don't know, I'm just not having any luck with my strippers. It might mean it's time to take a break. I guess that might be the other reason I'm kind of having more trouble now, is that... So these are definitely cutting more. You know, they're definitely cutting more than those. It might be that I've just got to go with something I know won't cut the wire inside. I'm not going to burn this thing off. I don't want to. I really don't want to be inhaling that. Yeah, okay, that's working out way better. I think the other one is frankly now a bit blunt, you know. Oh, this is really frustrating me. Oh, that's handy. I mean, I guess if it's a part that you can still test with, then it's not a total loss, is it? Use the tweezers. Okay. What if I put a slight bend in there? Like that, and hopefully it's not going to roll away at the wrong moment. Tack. It's there for a reason. Oh man, that is going to stink now. Oh well, not much I can do about that. Alright, I went out of shot for a second, but what happened there is, as I went to solder this in, the JST popped out from underneath. Which means they now might need to be supported. So that is really frustrating. See if I can find something to push that up with so I can just... Oh, that's... So I'd managed to basically heat both those connections such that it popped out. Now what I'm going to do is try and do the same but in reverse. And just in that realm of things that you can do accidentally but intentionally is a real nightmare to actually do when you mean it. So autofocus, is that better? Yeah, that's a bit better. I had the wrong focus setting on this camera, apparently I can do it. I really didn't expect that. What I might do, because I don't really want that happening again, okay, let's see. Maybe what I'm going to need to do is remove it, clean it up, put it in again, and then before I try and solder anything back in, I'm either going to, I'll just go and blue tack the front of these in so they don't drop out, or even hot glue them in, I don't know. Both are likely to give over to a bit of temperature anyway, which is the only issue. Okay, because I think without desoldering it I've got to end up trying to heat both sides again, which is again in that realm of trying to do accidentally but intentionally it's not really going to work. So one of these, oh yes, I don't know how many of us have got these things, but I really love this engineer solder sucker. Really is the business. Okay, just remember, I don't have to be at strange angles. I can turn the board around. Okay, right. Is that enough to get it out completely? No, it's not. Oh. Trying to find another section of the PTFE with this, but that solder sucker's on the list to get. Yeah, could do them. Yeah, it does really do the job. Oh, if you don't fling it. Oh, I'm ever so slightly worried about that pad. Alright, that's going to need braid to get the last few bits up, I think. Problem is, you see, now it's still, has it pulled some through? No, it's holding it, not a lot. Okay, good. Right, let's try again then. Right. Is there anything I can do to support that? And again, one of them might be just the thickness I need. Just clear this angle a little bit. So my thinking here, that is a stack of those then. A quick little shim to hold it up. There we go. So this is the DuPont connector housings. And that is holding that quite firmly. No, there's still a tiny gap. I'm going to stick one more DuPont connector housing. I guess you're getting a fixed couple of millimeters every time. 2.54 millimeters, I guess. Right, now it's got support there. Holding again. And way more solder to just try and find that in. There we go. Ah, right. What was next? So that's the battery, and so this one actually here has come slightly out, but it's still fairly well connected. But I'm going to, before making this battery connection, do the same thing. So this is the ground is here. Have I ended up with this? I've ended up with this being one pin closer than it was supposed to be. Okay, that's not horrific, it's just slightly annoying. And guess what I'm going to do is I make one connection from the ground to, so that ground to somewhere over here. Now I like the idea of a pin and being there just for that. Do I have the right kind of pins? Not really. Okay, let's just make the connection. Let's just go for this. What I could do here, what would have been quite fancy here, would have been to actually drill out the hole next to the battery connection, and then take these two wires, maybe oh, that was a bit limited. Yeah, the positive and negative from the not the battery, the boost terminals. It'd be nice to drill a hole here and here and take them around the front and then out the back. Quite nice. So up here, through there, and then out through there. I don't know, maybe that's too fancy. Well, maybe something in that. Hold on, got a plan. Which wasn't the plan to cut that off. That now too short. It might end up too short. Okay, well, we'll see. Totally making this up as I go along, despite having a plan. It's now just become a bit of a well, it's no plan survives the real world, right? Right. So where I was going with that idea was completely forgetting that I've got other things on the front, but my idea was being that I would poke it through there and then bend that leg over and poke it through over here, but that's so not going to work. Okay, forget that. It was a bit fancy anyway. So let's support this again. I'm just going to go with wiring it across the back like I have been. See, this is the bit where I need something to solder to there. So perhaps if I make the ground connection along here first, and then right angle it down through the board here, and then make the other connections to it, I think that will work. Yeah, making this up as I go along here. I guess the thing is, this is a bit of a mess, but the side that everyone's going to see is the side that won't be a mess, so that's fine. Okay. Oh, really? Why am I coming out at a funny angle when I can move the board? Keep forgetting, instead of putting my arms at very strange angles to do stuff, I can just move the board. Righty. Load that, preload that, so then this connection goes from up here to there. What was this connection? That was the yellow and the blue. So I don't want to make that hard to make. Maybe I want to make that first, thinking about it. go back, put my support under. It looks like I'm going to make the small and local connections first and the big flyover connections afterwards, which probably makes sense. So is that that's from there to there, so it's drain to the rollers. Here's a question. Does that? I wonder. Actually, I should have a look on Pomeroni later. I wonder if Engineer, the same people who make those lovely suckers and the crimping tool, which is the only one I've ever really gotten to work well. I wonder if they make a wire stripper that's actually a little sharper than these. I mean, I'm not saying it's not that I'm just a bit cat-handed with this, but not exactly a quality tool. This one is just some no-brand version of this kind of tool. Oh, come on. Which has half cut. There we go. Engineer do make a wire. I've forgotten from Amazon. It's really good. Oh, okay. Oh, look, look, look. You see that? It just snapped off. I'm sure it's still me. That's no longer going to reach, so I need a fresh one. Right. Let's try that again. Yeah, okay, maybe that will be a purchase this afternoon, just to get a Engineer wire stripper. I mean, the funny thing is the Engineer tools, they're like all of these other tools are based on the same basic idea, but just appear to do the same basic idea really badly. And because the Engineer version of the crimpers look like the really cheap and awful crimpers. Okay, right, maybe I am just using the wrong hole. 14. Well, this wire says it's 24, and that means it should be even finer. So why am look, there's some kind of obstruction there. It's crud. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, these are actually, being 18, these are actually too big, but yet, and that might be the problem, is actually that I'm cutting something too big and then applying too much pressure and then cutting right through. Like that. Oh, come on, this is practice, 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 practice. Usual kind of thing. I'm also thinking I should take a break because I'm getting the NJPA06, yeah, something. Yeah, maybe that's a good plan. Get a set of those. Something like my face again as well. What am I doing? It is already 2. So I suspect I need to clock off, go have dinner. And then I've got this Coda Dojo, which is I'm not booked in for the 2, but the 2:45. So currently £25. Okay, very cool. I might grab one of them. I've not made as much progress on this board as I would like. I guess we started off without a design at all this morning, or with different plans. And this front side looks kind of nice, but the back side is kind of a mess. And I'll probably, when I start on this again in the afternoon, I'll carry on streaming then. So I'll see which crowd I get. I haven't really got a fixed time in mind, I'm afraid. So maybe 5 or 6, but I guess I'll have to see. I have to play it by ear. It's all a bit chaotic here right now, to be honest. I hope it's been fun. I hope the conversation's been interesting. I know you've probably spent a lot of time looking at the back of the top of my head while I've been trying to figure out how to strip wire properly. Anyway, stream again later. So goodbye, and thanks for tuning in, and I will do more.